This is part 4 about how to think about the market within our Basics of Professional Betting series. Back to our coin toss game. Now we think about how to efficiently place a bet in the market. In our best of 3 match we are after the first coin toss, which player A won. We have already determined the fair odds being 1.333 recurring, and we calculated that with 5% Betfair commission we need back odds bigger than 1.3509 to have a value bet. What if the market looked like that? Task for you. We assume we don't have a minimum value requirement, we just want to get the most value possible. How do you approach the situation? Can you spot a value bet in the market? 136 would be value, but there's nothing there. So the obvious choice would be to put in a 1.36 back bet and hope you will get matched. But is it actually the best choice to make? Hardly a chance for us to get matched at 137 with a fat bet sitting there already, so we can dismiss this possibility. But there is actually a value bet sitting there already. Obviously, backing player A is equivalent to laying player B in two-way markets. So we just transform our minimum back odds of 1.3509 to maximum lay odds. We have shown how this is done in the tennis trading example video. It's actually exactly 3.85. So laying 3.8 is value. Now we can slowly start thinking about the market. There is actually one more possibility. We could put in a 375 lay, we'd also be first in the queue then, and if the bet gets matched, it would be better than the back bet at 136, as the equivalent of the 136 back bet is a 3.777 recurring lay bet. I also want you to look at this 3.7 here. Do you believe anyone has actually put in this bet? No. There's actually no 3.7 lay bet rating here. It's the mirrored 137 back bet. The equivalent lay bet of the 137 is 3.702 recurring. So Betfair displays it as 3.7, and if anyone is dumb enough to take the 3.7, Betfair simply matches it with the 137 back bet and pockets the difference. These are the things you need to be aware of, guys. We call this series Basics of Professional Betting. Now some viewers might say, I don't want to do such calculations, I want to bet. But these are exactly the basics you need to start with, not some bullshit strategies. You need to understand betting maths. You need to understand how the markets work. Without understanding it, you will stay a loser. So if you are serious about learning this stuff, you calculate it for yourself and play with the values. This will be much more beneficial to you than watching 100 videos from fake gurus where you learn absolutely nothing. So we have 3 choices here, and there is no obvious solution for what's best. You need some experience with the market to find the best move. If you have this experience, you can come up with rough probability estimates. Let's say from our experience we can assume that on average we will get 80% of our back bet matched at 136, 35% at 375 lay, and basically 100% at 380 lay. We just do it roughly. For example, we ignore the possibility that at the time of bet placement the 380 sitting there could disappear. So what's the best choice? We calculate the expected value for each of these 3 possibilities. Case 1, back at 136, gets 80% matched, 75% chance we win. What's our expected value? We have our formula for the expected value from the last video, and we simply multiply with the matched percentage. We put our values in, and this results in an expected value of 0.52% for the risked amount. Case 2, lay at 380, gets fully matched, 75% chance to win the lay bet. What's our expected value? This time we need the formula for the lay bet. And we have to divide through odds minus 1, because when you lay a bet, you obviously risk more than the amount you bet. put the numbers in again and it results in an expected value of 0.446% for the risk amount. The same we do for case 3. This time we still have to multiply with 35%, our assumed match percentage. Expected value 0.318% for the risk amount. So putting in a back bet at 136 would be the best choice here, given our getting matched assumptions. Now in reality, in a hectic in-play match, you obviously don't sit there and do these calculations. What you should actually do is to play around with these calculations and get an intuition on how much influence assumed match probabilities have on your expected value. So that then in in-play situations you can have a good guess of what's best. One thing we have ignored here is the staking amount. We just assumed a fixed amount. However, with better odds you generally want to increase your staking, so that would make our 375 late choice a bit more valuable then. Also remember, our initial aim was to simply have a value bet. In reality, we'd expect a bit more value, of course. With a bigger distance to the fair odds, the relative value difference isn't so big between the possibilities, so the assumed match percentage becomes more relevant. In the next video we will talk about how we can further take advantage of our knowledge about the market.